Dave Lombardo would be a co-founder of the metal band Slayer and would be hailed as an innovative drummer, with some referring to him as, and I quote, the godfather of double bass. He would be hugely influential on metal drummers who came after him. And despite playing on 9 of Slayer's albums, his time with the band, especially in their later years, would be tumultuous and end on a sour note. Today, let's take a look at why Dave Lombardo was fired from the band. Lombardo would first meet guitarist Kerry King at the age of 16, thanks to some friends who informed him that they lived a few blocks from each other. The pair shared a similar taste in music, and King by this point was already playing in a band with bassist and vocalist Tom Arraya, and the last piece of the puzzle was guitarist Jeff Hanneman. King would recall meeting Hanneman at a rehearsal warehouse in LA, recalling, as I was leaving, I saw Jeff kind of standing around playing guitar, and he was playing stuff I was into like Def Leppard's Wasted and AC/DC and Priest, so I started talking to him and just said, hey, do you want to start a band? I already knew Dave Lombardo and we'd played together in his parents' garage a bit, and so I brought Jeff in. Then went to Tom Arraya, who I was playing with in another band, and said, hey man, I have a different band if you're interested, and that was it. Lombardo would play on Slayer's first 3 albums, including 1983's Show No Mercy, 1985's Hell Awaits, and 1986's Rain and Blood. However, by 1986 he would leave Slayer for the first time, not being able to make enough money to support himself. It was during this time he nearly joined Megadeth, telling the Speak and Destroy podcast, I was going to join Megadeth when I left Slayer for the first time in 1986. It was very much on the down low, probably Mustaine doesn't remember this, but they had opened up for Alice Cooper during the Peace Sells tour, and I went to Long Beach Arena and I met with the guys. The main issue at the time was, when I saw the guys, they didn't look very healthy. I think it was a very dark period for them, and I heard rumors of drugs and stuff like that. I was no saint, but I kept it in check, and they just didn't look healthy to me. I didn't see a healthy path for myself. Sure enough, Garth Samuelson died, and he was an amazing drummer. It would be Slayer producer Rick Rubin who coerced the drummer to return to Slayer the following year in 1987 and drum on their next 2 albums. But by 1992, with the birth of his first child, Lombardo would leave the band once again. It was during his time out of Slayer for the second time, he did some session work and performed with a number of other bands. Lombardo would end up rejoining Slayer in 2002, telling an interviewer, they gave me a call almost exactly 10 years after I left and asked me if I wanted to do some shows. I said I'd think about it. I called them back and it all worked out, and it's been going really good since then. He would end up drumming on a few more albums for the band until 2013, when to the surprise of many fans, he was fired from the group. In a lengthy post on Facebook, he would write, and I quote, last year I discovered 90% of Slayer's tour income was being deducted as expenses, including professional fees paid to management, costing the band millions of dollars and leaving 10% or less to split amongst the 4 of us. In my opinion, this is not the way a band's business should operate. I tried to rectify it by letting my bandmates know, and Tom and I hired auditors to figure out what happened, but I was denied access to detailed information and the necessary backup documents. I spent Christmas and New Year's holidays realizing I toured all over the world in 2012, but yet had not been paid except for a small advance or provided proper accounting for a full year's sweat and blood. On top of this, I was told that I would not be paid until I signed a long-form contract, which gave me no written assurance of how much or on what basis management would deduct commissions, nor did it provide me access to financial budgets or records for review. It also forbade me to do interviews or make statements having to do with the band, in effect a gagging order he'd write. He would also add that he had spoken to Kerry King and Tom Arraya during rehearsals for their 2013 Soundwave dates to come up with a new business plan to protect the band and their interests. He would claim that King told him he had no desire to change the band's business model and that he would find a new drummer if Dave wouldn't drop it. He didn't, and so he was fired from the band. Lombardo would go on to reveal that in 2011 he only made $67,000 drumming for the band, while claiming Arraya and King made $114,000 each. Kerry King would speak to Artisan News about Lombardo's departure and gave his side of the story, as he stated here.
Misinformation, not coming from Slayer. I think I feel bad for Dave because he made some really bad choices based on listening to some really bad advice. It was really weird for me because when Dave made his big, tirade in the press, we were on a flight for 14 hours and couldn't make any rebuttals. So by the time we landed, it was almost like old news, so we didn't respond. But the funny thing is, the first text on my phone, which I got a billion texts, I'm like, what happened in America, was Paul. And he was, I'm sure it's still on my phone somewhere, but, he said he wanted his job back and, my first impression was, why would I take somebody back that quit my band twice? And I even asked him after we rehearsed, because we rehearsed when we went to Australia. John Deddy bailed us out, which I was super thankful for. So I tried out John Deddy and I tried out Paul on the same brand new 2 new songs. I gave them each the exact same amount of time to learn them. And, you know, here's the parameters. Let's see what happens. And that was one of Jeff's last decisions in Slayer. He voted Paul back in, and I wasn't going to go against Jeff. Jesus. You know, for him to be paying attention, be able to make a decision, I was like fucking sending skyrockets in the sky. Thank you, Jeff did something. You know, just I wanted him to be a part, and he couldn't. So, you know, I know from talking to Jeff that he wanted Paul, and I think Tom wanted Paul, and it was already outnumbered, so it didn't matter if I wanted Paul or wanted John. It didn't matter.
Following his departure from Slayer, he would be replaced by Paul Bostoff until Slayer called it quits in 2019. Lombardo, for his part, wouldn't appear at Slayer's final shows in Los Angeles. After his time in Slayer, Lombardo would play with the Misfits, Mr. Bungle, and Testament, to name a few groups. That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button and subscribe. We'll see you again on Rock and Roll Your Story sticker.